Next article is related to image problem. Merging National Film Archives with the National Film Development Corporation of India will compromise the functioning of an institution that has become the storehouse of culture. Merging of semi-autonomous bodies like Film Division, Children's Film Society, International Film Festival of India, Directorate of Film Festivals, National Film Archives of India with the National Film Development Corporation of India is nothing short of gross blunders. Okay, the next article is related to No Accountability Bill. Criminal Procedure Bill empowers the police and the governments to conduct a intrusive investigation with few checks and guidelines. What the bill is, Lok Sabha passes the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022. It seeks to repeal the Identification of Prisoners Act 1920 and allows the collection, storage and analysis of physical and biological samples including retina and iris scan of the convicted and arrested and detained person. Let us see in detail. The Criminal Procedure Identification Bill in Lok Sabha seeks to replace the identification of prisoners 1920 from the convict or suspected criminal. The bill exemplifies the current trend to pass laws that are filled with ambiguity and lack of safeguards. It also reflects a desire to expand the power of the government to interfere in the lives of the citizen. If the bill were passed, the type of data collected by the police shift dramatically from basic fingerprint, footprint impression to a range of other samples including iris and retina scans, behavioral attributes and biological samples. National Crime Record Bureau would hold the collected data for 75 years. Rulemaking power in this arena currently vested only in the state government would extend it to the central government. The bill extends this wanton collection of data not only to all convicts but also to anyone who is arrested or detained, and even the people who are merely suspected of committing a crime or deemed likely to do so. It is common enough for law enforcement agencies the world over to collect the personal data from the people they arrest and convict. Government of India has repeatedly demonstrated a crippling fear of dissent and a willingness to wage open warfare against its components presented lately as enemies more than adversaries. If the bill were enacted, nothing would stop the police from, say, detaining protesters and collecting their personal data used against them at a later date. Second, Indian privacy rules are threadbare. Government of India casual approach was most recently exemplified by the controversy surrounding the paucity of safeguards built into Aadhaar, as well as numerous failures of Arogya Setu contact tracing app. Although Supreme Court's Duraisamy decision in 2017 established privacy as fundamental constitutional right, the process to draft and introduce the national data protection legislation has dragged for years. Following Supreme Court 2017 verdict, the state formed a committee chaired by Justice B.N. Sri Krishna to deliberate on law to protect the privacy. However, the version that was subsequently drafted by an ad hoc joint parliamentary committee was so disrespectful of the commission's work that Justice Sri Krishna declared. The new name of the bill now includes national security as one of its objectives, and this is one of the reasons why privacy has been so diluted. Justice Sri Krishna pointed out that bill allows the center to exempt any of its agencies from provisions supposed to protect the privacy in the name of security. He also argues that data protection authority is entirely captive to the government and cannot be said to the independent regulator. Okay. The opposition has slammed the proposal, calling it draconian and arguing that it violates the clauses of the Constitution that protects the life and personal liberty and guard against self-incrimination. Okay, this is what the article is all about. Next article that we are moving into is related to global outcry over civilian bodies in the Strait of Bucha. Okay, Ukraine denied NATO seat. On 14th anniversary of 2008 NATO summit in Bucharest, Romania, where after a major internal debate, NATO promised membership in alliance to Georgia and Ukraine, but without specifying when. In a late-night compromise, all NATO member states agreed that two countries should not offer a membership action plan, but were promised membership at some point in future. Next article is mass grave found, many shot in head and their hands tied. Ukrainians in the town of Bucha, Ukraine, were still finding bodies in yards and on the roads amid mounting evidence of execution and indiscriminate killing of civilians by Russian forces before they are retreated. Next article that we are moving into is related to World Health Organization's move on Covaxin. A look at what the new directive means for this COVID-19 vaccine developed by ICMR and Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech. Why was the World Health Organization taken this step now? Covaxin, India's first indigenous vaccine for COVID-19, had got emergency use listing from World Health Organization in November last year. The World Health Organization's emergency use listing is also prerequisite for a vaccine to be a part of supply under COVAX initiative. The license has paved the way for Bharat Biotech to supply Covaxin to UN agencies including through COVAX. At the time of emergency use listing for Covaxin was granted. However, World Health Organization had not done an inspection. What did World Health Organization inspection find? World Health Organization has said that data available to it indicate the Covaxin is effective and there is no safety concern. It has, however, asked the company to address the deficiencies in the good manufacturing practice. In other words, World Health Organization asked the Bharat Biotech to upgrade and make specific changes in its manufacturing facilities for Covaxin. What are these upgrades? When the company received emergency use authorization from the India's drug regulator, it repurchased its existing facilities, some of which were used for producing a poliovirus vaccine and some for vaccines of rabies and some for Japanese encephalitis vaccine. Next article is related to emergency in Sri Lanka, history and contours. Sri Lanka's president Gotabaya Rajapaksa declared an emergency on April 1 as thousands of people came out of the streets to protest the crippling power cut and shortage of essential commodities caused by country's economic meltdown. This is the second time within a year that Rajapaksa has resorted to this measure. He declared an emergency on August 30 last year to deal with the hoarding of essential commodities, and the economic crisis has begun to manifest itself in all its severe but lifted it within few weeks. Long history. Before Rajapaksa, President Maithripala Sirisena has declared an emergency in March 2018 to contain anti-Muslim violence in some part of the country that leads to the death of 2 people, acts of arson and damage to property. And before that, Sri Lanka was under the near continuous state of emergency for 27 years, from anti-Tamil riots of July 1983 to August 2011, with a brief respite in 1989 and 2001. Emergency was first imposed in 1958 after Sri Lanka embraced the Sinhala-only language policy, and off and on from 1971 onward. That's all. If you like the video, please do share, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.